what we're doing is correct. Otherwise, I see us coming back from yet one more board meeting before the end of the year. And secondly, in Finance Committee, we discussed there was the opportunity, suggestion to keep the status quo for this year. A zero raise for commissioners, and then perhaps a raise the following year. And you can't increase your compensation during your term. You can always decrease it. So I just think it's really unseemly right now to take a wage increase with the what's going on with the economic devastation that many people are going through. So I kind of went along with suggestions for zero for this year, and then like maybe 2% for the following year. That didn't go very well in finance, but that's, I think, something that I could support. But I would have I can't support this right now, giving raises when the economic landscape looks the way it does for so many people. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kowal. Commissioner Long, sorry, you're up next.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Woodward. And I think I said this in finance too, but it's not that I'm just going to take all three in general because I'm sorry I'm out of order. It was all lumped in, but it's not that I don't think everyone deserves, Chairman Woodward, I think, I know this is on the next part, but I do believe you do a lot of work and you deserve this stipend and everything. I just think we should wait after this 2 years and then catch up or something. I just think people, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I agree with Commissioner Miller, but I know. Just with right now the economic times, I get at least 2 phone calls a week with people not being able to get their unemployment and stuff and for help for unemployment. To me, that's a lot. I never got any unemployment calls before. I'm 18 years being a commissioner until this COVID thing hit. So I'm just a no now. I'm not saying that we don't deserve raises and that leadership and elected official, but I'm just going to not support it now. I too agree with Commissioner Cole. We tried to do 0% and then something the second year, but I'm not sure we're going to be out of COVID in 2 years. I hate to be the doom and gloom, but I think this is going to take us a long time for recovery, economically and for the health too. So I'm just going to be no on all three at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Long. Any further discussion? Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, it's not an easy decision when you're an elected official and a public servant to glean anything beyond what our constituents are experiencing. But what I want to say and what I want to make clear is that this position has changed. The times that we're in, the pandemic that we are dealing with, just like the public, has given us extra responsibility and heightened our level of commitment to serve. And so I don't want to say that we deserve a raise, but I don't want to say that we don't deserve one. And I feel as though 1% is not so extraordinary, other than the fact that it is an increase. And if our public doesn't glean it, it kind of makes us feel bad to glean it. But I want to let our public know that we're going to work for this increase. We are committed, and we are at a whole different level of responsibility. And so I feel as though we just not deserve it, but we're going to earn it. And I just want to let everybody know who's watching. And I feel that way about each and every one of us who's sitting here, that we're ready to earn it. Thank you.
Commissioner Gershenson.
Well, thank you. I was hesitant to bring up some actual facts and figures because I do respect the people that I do respect the no votes. I am a yes vote. And I just wanted to clarify that our current salary at $36,853, the 1% increase is $368.53. which translates into $30 a month or $15 a paycheck. So I just wanted to put things into perspective of the dollars that we're talking about, but I certainly don't mean this with any disrespect to those that are not able to support it.
Any further discussion? Commissioner Miller.
Thank you, Chair. And I don't know if I said this because I said this in committee, just for everybody's knowledge, is that the minimum wage is not going up because unemployment's over 8.5%. So anybody that makes minimum wage, they will not get an increase because that's what is in the statute or the law that says that if unemployment's over 8.5%, unemployment does not go up. So that might, be next year as well. Like Commissioner Long said, we don't know how long this is going to go. So that's another thing to consider, that the residents aren't even getting that increase that are in that field, that they're at that wage. So 1% to us is $30 a month. That's that's more than they would get. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Miller. Any further discussion? Commissioner Nelson.
Thank you, Chairman. Can we take a brief recess?
We certainly can. We're going to take roughly a 10-minute recess. Commissioner Spiz, before we do that, Commissioner Spiz?
I was just going to say a 5-minute recess, but
5-minute recess, okay. All right, thank you. Okay, we'll take a brief recess and reconvene.
Excellent. Thank you.
So, Madam Clerk, can you call the roll to reestablish quorum, please?
I can, yeah. Commissioners Miller? Not back yet. Nelson,
Here.
Powell,
Here.
you, Quarles,
Here.
Biz,
Here.
Cobb,
Here.
Wypert,
Here.
Woodward,
Here.
Zach,
Here.
Gershenson,
Here.
Gingell,
Here.
Hoffman,
Here.
Jackson,
Here.
Kokendorfer,
Here.
Kowal,
Here.
Kuhn,
Here.
Long,
Here.
Lubes,
Here.
Markham,
Here.
McGilvray,
Here.
Middleton,
Here.
Miller.
Here. Sorry about that, Madam Chair.
That's okay. I'm not the chair, but that's okay.
I was just
Miss-
seeing if you're awake.
Yeah, barely. Mr. Chair, you have a quorum. Everybody's here.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Quorum is established. Okay, that brings us back to where we were. Board of Canvassers, compensation adjustments, elected officials. We've divided the question upon some of the feedback and the conversation, trying to accomplish this the way we've done historically, of a staff to draft an amendment to kind of capture some of the thoughts that were put out there, take into consideration the coming year and looking forward. So if staff can put up a potential amendment of 0%, the first year, and 2% the following year, to capture some of that and see if that's something that if someone's willing to move the motion, move that amendment. And second, so moved by Gershenson, seconded by Lubes, to make it so that there's no raise in the coming year, 2% in the following year, also and keeping it below the increase that on average is being presented to all Oakland County employees with the compensation study that we just did. So, any discussion on that?
Sorry, who moved it?
Moved by Gershenson, seconded by Lubes. All in favor of adopting the amendment, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay.
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 Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the amendment.
Okay, on the amendment, Commissioners Nelson,
Yes.
Powell,
Pass.
Quarles,
Yes.
Biz,
No.
Cobb,
No.
Wypert,
No.
Woodward,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
Gingell,
No.
Hoffman,
No.
Jackson,
Yes.
Kokendorfer,
No.
Kowal,
No.
Kuhn,
No.
Long,
No.
Lubes,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
McGilvray,
Yes.
Middleton,
No.
Miller,
No.
Howell,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 10 yeas, 11 nays.
An insufficient number voting in the affirmative, the amendment fails. That brings us back to the main motion. Let me just give like some comment here. Is like historically, we've always addressed these issues in a bipartisan way, consistent with past practice that served us well. I'd like to put it out to the group: is there a way that we can kind of get to that point? And if there isn't, and then we can drop the measure altogether. So, what's the will of the group? Commissioner Powell.
Can you clarify your question again, please, sir? Is this the
Well,
overall? Can you
Sure,
just
sir.
read the break? And I just want to be refreshed on where are we? I know we just took that vote, but what are you asking now, please?
Sure.
Clarity. Thank you.
So, the recommendation of the finance, we divided the question on a series of things. The current motion before us is a motion for a 1% increase for next year, 1.5% for the following year. That is less than the average amount being provided to our employees. So consistent with past practice. If an amendment was offered but failed, that would have shifted it to 0% this year, 2% in next year, and 2% the following year. So it brings us back. The question here is 1% and 1.5%. But based on some of the comments, with an effort of trying to seek a bipartisan solution to get here, it looks like either someone needs to put forth another proposal, or maybe drop the measure altogether. Drop this part of it, and we'll move on to the next one. Commissioner Tom.
Don't we have a resolution and a motion on the floor? I mean,
There's a motion, right? Well, I mean, the sponsor of the
so let's
motion.
just vote it up or vote
All
it
right,
down.
thank you, Commissioner Taub. If the sponsors and the second of the motion want to withdraw it, it can die for lack of support. Commissioner Kokendorfer.
Just very quickly, I know a lot has been said about this, and I'm a strong believer in trying to reach across the aisle, try to come to bipartisan solutions. But this is one that just hits at my core beliefs. I just fundamentally think it's wrong to have any increases given the state of the economy and what people are going through right this time. So it's nothing personal to anybody here. I just can't do this.
So does the motion and seconder of the motion want to withdraw or continue to the vote? And I'll ask the person who made the motion. I forgot who did it.
Mr. Chair, I guess that was my question. Which motion are you asking? Because the only motion that we have is to put the question, which was voted on.
Gershenson,
There's a motion by.
Gershenson, well, I think Gershenson moved, and who seconded the
Luke.
motion? And Luke.
Luke.
Okay. So
The main
That-
motion, okay.
That
Thank you.
was defeated.
no, that was the amendment.
No.
It
Okay,
was an
so then
amendment.
you're back on the
The main
original.
motion would have been,
The 1%, 1.5%. That's the
which
question.
would go
before
back to
us.
whoever made the original motion for this resolution, which I'm assuming was Commissioner Zach and somebody else.
no,
Because it
you
came
have
out
the
of finance.
Gershenson amendment now.
No,
No, the Gershenson amendment failed.
We didn't vote on it.
Mr. Chair, if I can, you're now back to the actual language in the resolution, which you have to dispose with one way or another on the Board of Commissioners base salary.
right.
Right.
And who is the
And
motion?
I seconded, Mr. Chair. It was,
Okay.
formal.
Okay.
On the original.
Right. I mean, I guess my question here is trying to come up with a solution. It doesn't seem like we're at an impasse, and so I guess if the motion maker and the seconder withdraw their motion, it'll fail for lack of support, and we'll move on to the next part.
Not to be on the technicality here, but you have a resolution from finance, so you have to vote down the actual language that's in there now. if you choose not to move forward with it. Otherwise, you're going to go back to the resolution as reported.
Okay. So we got some background noise. So if you're not talking, please mute yourself. So Chief Ward, just so that I'm clear, dividing the question, we have to take some action on it one way or another.
That's correct. Otherwise, you're going to go back to the resolution as
Okay.
reported.
Understood. Okay. All right. Well, with that, I
You
guess.
did not vote on the Gershenson amendment. You didn't vote on that.
I thought we did. I thought it failed. 10, there were 10 affirmative and 11 opposed.
That was, oh, I mean before that with the 1 and the 1.5.
Right. That's what we're on right now. That's what we're on. Right? Commissioner Gingell. Is that what you're?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it's not an amendment. We split the question, and then Commissioner Gershenson moved the first piece of the question, which is the 1 and 1.5%. It was a motion to move that as 3 parts of dividing the question. I believe that's what's on the table currently right now.
Correct. Commissioner Middleton.
Yes, if, on my screen, it's page 105, and it's the first, now therefore be it resolved. That's what we're voting on, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
It's
Any
page
further?
1005, just to be clear.
Okay.
That one.
So, Chief Ward, you're saying that we need to take action on that to be able to move to the next part. We can't just.
That's correct. Yeah. Either that or take an amendment to line that out. That's your intention.
All right.
Let's vote on it.
Okay. All right. You want to vote on it, or you want to put up an amendment to line it out?
I think we should vote on it.
And the question before us. Okay, yes, Commissioner Quall.
Point of order, I should say. The easier action for us to do is vote it up, down, and be done with.
Got it. Okay, there we go. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the 1.5% measure.
Okay. Commissioners Powell,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Biz,
No.
Cobb,
No.
Wyford,
No.
Woodward,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
Gingell,
No.
Hoffman,
No.
Jackson,
Yes.
Okendorfer,
No.
Howell,
No.
Kuhn,
No.
Long,
No.
Lubes, Lubes,
Commissioner Lube, you're muted. Oh,
Oh.
she's
Give me a
signaling
thumb.
yes.
give me a thumbs up. Okay. Markham,
Yes.
McGilvray,
Yes.
Middleton,
No.
Miller,
No.
Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 10 yeas, 11 nays.
An insufficient number voting in the affirmative, that portion of the overall measure fails. That brings us to the next portion, which is the leadership stipends. Is there a motion? Commissioner Gingell. Commissioner Gingell moves, seconded by Commissioner Jackson. Any discussion? Seeing, Commissioner Miller.
Thank you. I have the same concerns as I had before, as, like unemployment, is over 8.5%. Minimum wage isn't going to go up. We have we could do a good thing and create a position with this extra money. So I just feel like with all the raises, we could, in a time where people aren't hiring, we can create a position and do a good thing. I don't think this is the right time. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Miller. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Oh, Commissioner Gingell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I mean, I'm supporting this because one, it's not across the board raise for commissioners. It's focused on the leadership and the effort that's going to be required as we go through the next 2 years. Secondly, I did the job as chair for 8 years. And to be honest with you, it's certainly not commensurate with the role and responsibility and the increased responsibility that I believe the leadership of this board is going to have to take on as I had to take on in 08 and 09. And so at this point in time, I'm supporting this for the upcoming term. If for some reason in 21 or 22, we determine that things are worse than planned, we always have the ability to roll it back.
Thank you, Commissioner Gingell. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioners Quarles,
Yes.
Biz,
No.
Bob,
No.
Vipert,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
Gingell,
Yes.
Hoffman,
No.
Jackson,
Yes.
Pokendurfer,
No.
Howell,
No.
Boone,
No.
Long,
No.
Lubes,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
McGilvray,
Yes.
Middleton,
No.
Miller,
No.
Nelson,
Yes.
Howell.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 12 yeas, 9 nays.
A sufficient number voting in the affirmative, that portion passes. Brings us to the third piece. And given that there was not support for across the board wages, I don't know, is there a motion willing to be made for the countywide elected officials? Is there a motion? I don't see a motion being made. Chief Ward, do we need to take a motion to strike that portion out of the resolution?
Yes, if that's your intent, Mr. Chair, you've got to dispose of it one way or another.
Got it. Okay. So we need a motion to remove that portion, given that there wasn't support for it, moved by Commissioner Dack, seconded by Commissioner Nelson, to strike the third component of the countywide elected official across the board raises. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Okay. The ayes have it. That portion struck out. And so, Chief Ward, tell me, do we have to, I guess, have we taken all the action that's needed, or do we have to take one for a kind of conclusion? Basically, we're advancing.
Mr. Chair, if you would be, if the commissioners would be willing, I think we've got some issues with like the budget amendment and some of the language in it. If you would just give staff authority to make those technical amendments.
Certainly. I mean, can you do it right now, or do you need?
Yeah.
I think we can handle this administratively if the commissioners are comfortable with that.
Wait a minute.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Taub.
Yeah, we voted, we split this thing up into 3 portions. Now I think we have to vote in the entire thing, the entire resolution, don't we?
I don't believe so. We handle each of the measures separately. So we handle each of them separate. So we have to, the one thing that we have is like the budget amendment that was attached to the original one, that staff needs administrative authority to make certain that what we approved is consistent with the budget amendment and everything. So do we, Mr. Chief Ward, do you need a motion to that effect?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if that's correct. I think Commissioner Todd might be correct. You need a final vote on the resolution. You divided the questions within the resolution, but I think you need a final vote on the resolution.
Okay. So the final resolution, so we have, that being the case, I thought we broke everything into 3 separate pieces, but okay. What is the motion that's necessary so that we only advance the portion that had board approval?
You've effectively deleted the 2 sections. And so you just have the 1 section that passed. Then if you just consider an amendment to give the staff the ability to make some technical amendments for conformance, that would help.
Okay. All right. So we need a motion to give, staff to, for a technical amendment for conformance that was approved, moved by Commissioner Long, seconded by Commissioner.
I had a question on that.
Good question. Okay, before we do that.
Okay, get a motion first.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Nelson, seconded by Commissioner McGilvery to direct staff to make the technical change so that the resolution's in conformity as we voted and passed the leadership stipend component of the resolution. Commissioner Long.
Well, now I have a question. Chris Ward, will that be in there saying commissioners like originally and then it just failed? Because it should, for minutes wise, shouldn't it? Or what? What will be in the resolution? You're
The
not
minutes
just gonna
should
take it out, are you?
The minutes should reflect that you divided the resolve clauses into 3 questions and you voted on them separately. And so those that did not pass, that effectively removes and deletes those sections from your resolution. I'm looking back on it as well, and there is no budget amendment in it. So I think that is covered. There just might be some language within the resolution that we might need to tweak, that's all.
Okay, so I don't really like that much because it was in there originally, and if someone goes back to look at the resolution, I think it should show that there is a 1%. I'm not opposed to getting a raise in future anyway, but I'm just saying, I don't know if that's right because we voted on a 1.5 and voted it down. Somewhere in that resolution should show. I don't know if we're doing that right.
Commissioner Long, the minutes will reflect the actions of the board.
Okay.
The original resolution will be there.
That we've ever done. Right. I don't know if we've ever done this dividing up within a resolution since I've been here 18 years. So I just am questioning how it's going to turn out in the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Long. Commissioner Middleton, on the amendment, that.
There's 5, therefore be it resolved. We eliminated 2 of those. We have to vote on the resolution to include those other 3 resolutions, further be resolved, don't we?
That's simply, I think the intent of the motion to divide was the 3 questions. The other resolve clauses are the budget amendment reference and then allowing the elected officials to donate their salaries back. So if you'd like to vote on those separately, that would be.
Oh, no, I would think that that's what's left of the resolution. We vote on the resolution and they go into effect.
That's correct.
That's what we're going to do. Yeah. So Commissioner Middleton, the amendment that we have here is directing staff to make certain that the action that we took, that the resolutions conform to that. Once that amendment is adopted, then we will vote on the full resolution again. I mean, the full.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So we have the amendment before us. All in favor of directing staff to conform with what we as a board decided, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay.
Aye.
The ayes have it, and so staff, please correct
Oh,
that.
it's a nay.
And now it brings us to the main resolution with all those appropriate changes. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the question.
On the resolution as amended, how's that?
As amended.
Commissioner Spiz,
Yes.
Cobb,
I gotta pay attention.
No.
Wypert,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
Gingell,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Kokendorfer,
No.
Kowal,
No.
Kuhn,
No.
Long,
No.
Lubes,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
McGilvray,
Yes.
Middleton,
No.
Miller,
No.
Nelson,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 14 yeas, 7 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative. The resolution is adopted as amended. Okay, that moves it to the next. I think that concludes the final item. And you certainly went out and you probably ran the clock out, Chief Finance Chair, Commissioner Zach. But I believe that concludes all of your items.
It does. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Zach. That moves us to the Health and Safety and Human Services Committee. I'd like to recognize Commissioner Lubes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The resolution to bring forward is further educational attainment compensation incentive program for Oakland County Sheriff's Office deputies. I'll make that motion.
Move, we need, well, first we need a motion to receive the report. Yep. Commissioner Lubes moves the report, seconded by Commissioner Nelson. All in favor of receiving the report, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. The report, let the record, let the record reflect that the report's received unanimously. Now Commissioner Lubes moves, seconded by Commissioner Miller, to move the resolution. Any discussion? Commissioner Middleton.
Yes, just a clarification. On page 1009, it's those items in bold are the report, basically the amendments to the resolution. Am I correct?
I believe, I'm there, I pull up the page here. Word or
Commissioner Middleton, that is a proposed amendment from Commissioner Miller. The report is on page 1008.
Oh, okay, before that.
Yeah, there you go. You got
Okay,
that?
oh, all it said was county exec then, okay,
Okay.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Middleton. Any further discussion? Commissioner Miller, I believe you have an amendment. Commissioner Miller. You're on mute, Commissioner Miller.
Yes, I have an amendment. You want me to read it out?
Yep. It's on page. I just lost my page number.
1009.
2009.
1009. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yes, Commissioner Miller.
So in this one, after now, therefore be it resolved, the Oakland County Board of Commissioners request that Oakland County Executive Office, in consulting with the Human Resources Department, take out and the Sheriff's Office, we're at the proposed amendment is to add the Oakland County Deputies Sheriff's Association and the Command Officers Association. So those are that's added there. And then there's an added, be it further resolved that the Oakland County Board of Commissioners request that the report be completed and forwarded to the board not more than 30 days following the enactment of this resolution. I feel it's all this stuff makes sense. Everybody involved out of the Health and Safety Committee, I heard that it made sense to have all parties involved. That's why the Sheriff's Association and the Command Officers Association were added. And I think we should have a timeline. I believe a lot of this study's already done. So I think this would be a great added to the resolution for everybody. Thank you.
So the amendment is moved by Commissioner Miller. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Gershenson. Any discussion on the amendment? I got Commissioner Gingell. Oh, wait. Whew. Okay, everyone. Commissioner Gingell, Taub, Hoffman, Spiz, Dak. Right. Go. Commissioner Gingell.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a quick question, and I appreciate the inclusion. In the committee meeting, we spent a lot of time on this, as Chairperson Lubes would attest, and that Commissioner Miller was making a motion to take everybody out, except for the county exec. Now we're making, the same person's making a motion to put everybody in and add groups. And under the sheriff's office, which is one of the groups that was originally requested to be taken out because it was for the good, best interests of the county, I think is the quote. Now we want the deputies union, this association, that association. I'm just trying to understand the rationale. It feels like we went from totally one end of the spectrum to another now. Maybe we're that convincing. I don't know.
Commissioner Miller, to that point on your amendment.
Yes, Commissioner Gingell, I heard your concerns, and you know the committee felt that other parties should be involved when I was retracting it. So you are right. Then I thought about it over the weekend, and it makes sense that if we're going to involve all parties, we might as well involve all parties that are involved and affected by this. So you were very convincing.
Thank you, Commissioner Miller. Okay, I've got Commissioner Taub, followed by Hoffman, Zach, Gershenson, Nelson, and I think I had Spins, and then Gingell for a second time.
Yeah, I have some concerns. I have two of them. First of all, this is a management issue. I think that it behooves us to, if we're going to have a committee to put together of management, that would be fine. I don't think we need all the unions involved. They are not in management, they are labor. That's number one. But number two, 4 weeks from today is January 4th. Nobody's going to work over the Christmas holiday. I wouldn't impose that on anybody. I would suggest to the maker of the resolution that they give at least 2 months for people to bring this back, because we have so many days off, and I certainly don't want staff people, because that's who does the work, to having to work on this project over the holidays. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Taub. Commissioner Hoffman.
Thank you, Chairman Woodward. So let me understand, we're going to still have the county exec in there, human resources, the sheriff department, the command officers association, and the sheriff officers association. This is just a study group to determine the feasibility of this and the cost. I think that would fall between the county exec, the sheriff, and human resources. I think, and it'll eventually impact the unions, and it's something they could probably negotiate for if they'd like, but this is just a study. This is not committing to anything. We're just out to determine the feasibility and the cost. So I don't know that it's really necessary to make this group any bigger than it was already passed out of committee. Thank you.
Thank you. I got Commissioner Zach, followed by Gershenson, Nelson, Spiz, and I got Gingell and Taub for a second time. Commissioner Zach.
So I'm very confused about this. Is this a study group? Who's comprised? And if it's a study group, this is December 7th, and I thought that all study groups would end at this term. And realistically, with holidays coming up, what can you really achieve here? So I'm questioning the merits of this. I think it's a good idea that should be looked at, but I'm not going to vote for this amendment as is because it just doesn't make sense to me. I think that this is something that should be looked at the beginning of next term to say, how can we do this? I think that there is value in increased educational attainment, but I don't think that this is the vehicle to achieve this. So I'm not going to support it.
Thank you, Commissioner Gershenson, followed by Nelson.
Well, I was not in committee, so I didn't benefit from all the discussion. But I did talk to Commissioner Miller and encourage him to put a timetable on it because of his concerns about, this could just drag on forever. However, I didn't quite look at it as the end of the year. And also, I wasn't aware that Commissioner Miller was putting back the unions in. That gives me some pause because they negotiate the unions. That's all their negotiations. So I'm not sure it's appropriate for the unions to be in there. But given that we're at the end of the year, I might request that Commissioner Miller reintroduce this at the beginning of next year because I don't see it going anywhere by the end of this year.
Commissioner Miller to that point. And then
Yes, I appreciate all the comments. I will go forward with this because why reintroduce it if you guys aren't for it? So, and we can extend the timeline. I mean, this is just because the year end doesn't mean the executive office is changing or, the sheriff's office is changing. And the reason why the unions are involved is because they're directly affected by this. And I will tell you that this is nothing against anybody, but I am really sick and tired of people saying this could be negotiated for. We're looking to benefit employees. And if we're going to say that everything they have has to be negotiated for, I mean, then we might as well just go that route, right? I mean, we're taking away something. We're trying to benefit and retain employees, like I said, in committee. And if we don't have other benefits there to retain them, to attract employees, to keep them here, because we're losing them, you could ask the sheriff's office and they might deny it, or they might say, yeah, because I've talked to the deputies, is they'll train here and then they'll get a better offer somewhere else. So we're trying to, keep our workforce, as we've been talking about by the compensation study and all that. So I will not withdraw this. And if people don't want to vote for it, why bring it up next year? Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Nelson, followed by Spiz, and then I got Long for the first time, and then Gingell and Cow.
I'm good, Chairman Woodward. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Spiz and Commissioner Long.
Move to set aside.
I'll second.
What does that mean?
Commissioner Spiz moves to basically table the entire action.
Yep. If I may, Mr. Woodward, I agree with Commissioner Zach's points. It is the end of the year. It makes no sense to take it up right now. I'd rather take it to next year. So let's set it aside. It'll have to be introduced next year.
I'll second that.
Spiz, seconded by Long. Does anyone want to speak to the motion to set aside?
I think I was next. That's what I was going to speak.
Commissioner Long was next. So Commissioner Long, Gingell, then Miller.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm first. Okay. All right, so that's what I was
on the motion to set aside.
Okay, but that's what I was gonna. It is kind of to set aside because if it's a study group, like Commissioner Zach said, doesn't it die at the end of the year and have to be nothing could get done in that time, correct? I mean, if we did anything, doesn't it have to be reinstated next year?
No, the resolution is not. Yeah, so Commissioner, just for clarification, the resolution is not a study group. The resolution is a request for the feasibility and a report to be submitted to the Board of Commissioners. It's not a study group.
Okay, so like Commissioner Taub said, then they probably couldn't get it done in that time. So I'm still going to keep my second on to set it aside and start at the beginning of the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Long. Commissioner Gingell, then Commissioner Miller on the motion to set aside.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it's appropriate because I have 2 points here. One, in committee, I asked if the sheriff, whose group was directly impacted by this, had been consulted with or just informed about the action. And the answer from the maker of the motion was that they had just been informed. There really wasn't much collaboration. And I think this gives us time to figure out how to ensure that's happening. Second is, I believe, and I could be wrong, but I think this whole effort has something to do with the $1,000 per emergency responder that we receive from the state, and figuring out potentially a way to repackage that rather than wages, since our people are already paid overtime. And, you know, when you think about the benefits of this effort, it clearly is going to be many of these deputies that are in these unions. And to me, what's being proposed here is a pure conflict of interest. Somebody that's going to help make the decision is going to get the personal benefit. And, you know, when we have anything like that, or any elected official, I mean, we have to abstain. I think this is a significant error of judgment, and, you know, setting it aside will allow us to get counsel on it. Thank you.
Commissioner Miller, on the motion to set aside.
Thank you. I'm going to vote no on this, and I'm going to take, if it's voted to set aside, that everybody votes for it, it's a no, because like I said, it doesn't die. We can extend the timeline. This is the point that Commissioner Gingell made was they're making direct benefit from it. Is, you know, that this, when we do like the radios, right? When we did that, it's a direct benefit to a lot of people, but they're involved, right? And even like companies are involved in that.
Not compensation.
Companies are involved in that, so they get compensated, right? So they're involved in a decision. So it's no different than that, right? And this is just studying to figure out where it's at. They're not getting anything. So why wouldn't you want the people that are doing the job to be involved? I mean, you're just trying to cut them out. I mean, that's like not the direction that Oakland County is supposed to go in, right? We're supposed to be with the people and for the people and work with the people. So like I said, I'm going to take this, if it's set aside, it's a direct vote against it, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Thank you.
Commissioner, cameras moved around. All right. I think I had Commissioner Jackson's hand up, Commissioner Whitebird's hand up, and Commissioner Gershon's hand. So Commissioner Jackson. On the motion to set aside, not on the merits of the motion, the motion to set aside.
Thank you, Chair. That was my point of clarification. So right now we're discussing whether or not we should set aside, but sponsor Commissioner Miller is saying if we set aside, he's taking that as a no vote and not going to pursue this.
I think that's
I'm just confused about some of the comments I'm hearing.
That's what he said.
Okay, so that's what we need to consider if we choose to set aside. Thank you. I just needed to clarify that.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Whiteberg, followed by Commissioner Gershenson, on the motion to set aside.
I don't think a motion to set aside is debatable, and we're doing a lot of debate.
We are doing a lot of debate. I believed it was a debatable motion to set aside. Oh, he's pulled it up. Okay. So I guess my question is, and I guess I'm going to ask Chief Ward, is the motion to set aside an appropriate motion before here, or should it be a motion to postpone?
I think we're just talking about the technical terminology. I think postpone indefinitely is the appropriate parliamentary term.
Okay.
You're getting to the same end result.
Okay. So, Commissioner Spiz, you take it as a friendly amendment so that there's people in the queue, and I want to continue to honor that, and that is a debatable motion to postpone.
To postpone?
It postpone indefinitely, which I thought, basically is in effect the same thing, just given where we are in the time of the year.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Whiteberg. Is there anyone, Commissioner Whiteberg?
Yeah, but a motion to postpone has to be to a definite date, so we have to have a date.
No, I think the training we received from Coco Seaward was postpone indefinitely was an appropriate motion in this.
But your term is ending, the resolution would die. Don't you have sine die? The resolution's gonna die.
You are correct, but that's the end result of it. But, the motion that we were all told to use at that training was postpone indefinitely.
Right. Okay. So I apologize. A bunch of hands went up, and then the screens all moved. And so, is there anyone who wants to speak to the motion to postpone indefinitely? Commissioner Todd.
Yes, I do. You know, we're headed towards Sine Guy, which means everything dies here and in the state of Michigan. Everything's done completely. It can't be carried over. Now I'm totally lost. Why are we doing this rather than voting it up or down? And why can't we speak to the full resolution? We're not allowed to?
Because a commissioner made a motion to postpone indefinitely. So we will satisfy that, and then we will move, if it fails, we'll move back to the original question.
Okay, thank you.
Oops. All right. So Commissioner Hoffman on the motion to postpone indefinitely.
I will vote to postpone this, and I have to say to Commissioner Miller, and he brings it back after the first of the year, I supported it the way it came out of committee before. I'll support it the way it came out of committee again.
All right. Commissioner Long on postpone indefinitely, followed by Commissioner Gershenson. I'm sorry, I skipped over Gershenson, but Commissioner Long.
That's what I was going to say is what Commissioner Hoffman said. Just because we postpone it doesn't mean that Commissioner Miller can't introduce it and have support from us. I just don't know enough about it either, and I think we just need more time. So I'm not saying just to postpone it indefinitely doesn't mean I'm not gonna when he reintroduces it. If he introduces it at the beginning of the year, that I won't support it.
Thank you, Commissioner Gershenson on motion to postpone.
I feel exactly the same way. I think this has a lot of good points to it. So I don't want my support for postponement to be misinterpreted as not supporting it. I would be very interested in working on this next term.
Okay. Any further discussion on postponing indefinitely? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the motion to postpone indefinitely.
Sorry, having mouse problems. Okay, not the four-legged kind this time.
That was last time.
That was last. Wow, there's still. Anyways, okay. So on postponing indefinitely, Commissioners Todd.
No.
Weipert.
Yes.
Woodward.
No.
Zach.
Yes.
Gershenson.
Yes.
Gingell.
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Kokendorfer.
Yes.
Kowal.
Yes.
Kuhn.
Yes.
Long.
Yes.
Lubes.
Yes.
Markham.
Yes.
McGilvery.
Yes.
Middleton.
Yes.
Miller.
No.
Nelson.
Yes.
Powell.
Yeah.
Quarles.
Yes.
Biz.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 18 yeas, 3 nays.
Sufficient number voted in the affirmative. The resolution postponed indefinitely. Commissioner Lubes, I think it concludes all items. Conclude your report.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Lubes. Okay, it moves us to pandemic response and economic recovery. There are 3 items. And I'm going to ask Commissioner Gershenson to lead us through the items A, B, and C.
Okay, A, Board of Commissioners, consolidation of coronavirus relief funds oversight and committees, authorization to disperse and reallocate grant program funds.
Commissioner Gershenson moves the resolution, seconded by Commissioner Gingell. Any discussion? I believe that there's an amendment. Commissioner Spiz, is it your amendment?
I do have one.
Why is
I
it
don't
mine?
know where it is in the packet
Not
though.
coming up. Chief Ward, where is this? Oh, it's right here.
We do have one amendment that was provided by
There's two amendments.
Corporation Counsel.
Yep, but there's two amendments actually. So the first one, okay, let's do the Corporation Council. The one was supplied by Corporation Council. This is an amendment to amend all the contracts to include language that's required because of change in guidelines from U.S. Treasury, correct, Chief Ward?
That's correct. And Commissioner Spiz's amendments on 1018.
Okay, so we'll get to Commissioner Spiz's amendment second. So let's take the first one that, Corporation Council requested this addition. This is addition of language in all the contracts so that we're in compliant with the guidelines. Moved by Commissioner Spiz, seconded by Commissioner Zach. It's a blue document. It's in your packets there. Any discussion? I think it's pretty straightforward. Chief Ward, is there any additional information on the amendment?
I think you covered it well.
Okay. So, all in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. The record reflects that the amendment is adopted unanimously. Now it moves to Commissioner Spiz has an amendment. Commissioner Spiz moves, seconded by somebody.
Wait, clarification. The amendment, is this the one with more people? Which amendment are you referring to?
Yes.
Okay.
3 members of the majority,
Change
3 members of the minority to be part of
I will
the,
support it.
supported by Commissioner Zach. Commissioner Middleton.
Is this on page 1018?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any discussion? Seeing no discussion. Oh, I think we're good. Do you want to discuss? Okay.
No,
All in
we're good.
favor?
We're good.
All in favor of adopting the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
say nay. Opposed, say nay. The amendment is, the record reflects the amendment is adopted unanimously. Okay, that brings us back to the main motion. Any discussion on the main motion, the reallocation? There's a provision built in here. Should Congress take action shortly, that this resolution will go away and we'll continue the same track. But this is to give flexibility to the administration to make certain that we use all the CARES dollars on the by December 30th, pursuant to the current CARES law, absent extension. All right. Seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the resolution as amended, Commissioners Weipert,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
Gingell,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Kokendorfer,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Kuhn,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Lubes,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
McGilvray,
Yes.
Middleton,
Yes.
Miller,
Oh, Commissioner Miller, you turned your camera off as you were speaking.
Still can't hear you.
Miller,
Yes.
yes,
He's indicating yeah. Miller votes yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Biz,
Yep.
Cobb,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 21 yeas, 0 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative. The resolution is adopted. come back to the appointment of the committee in just a moment. There's finish these other two items. Commissioner Gershenson on item B under the Pandemic Response and Economic Recovery. You're on mute, Commissioner Gershenson.
Sorry about that. Board of Commissioners reallocation of coronavirus relief funds to create Oakland Together Restaurant Rescue Program. I move the resolution.
Commissioner Gershenson moves, seconded by Commissioner McGilvery. Any discussion on the resolution? Commissioner Kuhn.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move that the amendment that is found on page 1061.
I support it.
We have a motion by Commissioner Kuhn, seconded by Commissioner Weipert. And it's, basically adding provision for the eligible restaurants required had to close indoor dining operations to prevent spread of COVID-19 during the latest issue. And this is the addition for CARES funding only. Those who submitted under one of Oakland County's previous sponsored programs. And Commissioner Kuhn, do you want to explain the amendment?
Yes, it's, hopefully it's clear and straightforward. Basically, Sean Carlson says phase 2 and phase 3, that's the weatherization issue and the restart issue, are county funds. So they should not be limited to only those who have already applied under CARES. So basically, this sets the guidelines that allows the administration the flexibility to have restaurants who did not apply earlier to apply for phase 2 and phase 3.
Okay, so please, if you're not mute, can you please mute yourself?
Nancy, you got to mute.
Or I will.
Commissioner Quarles, we hear it's your last
Yep,
board meeting.
We're good. So I guess any further discussion on it? Commissioner Gershenson.
Yeah, I just want to get clarification because I found this language confusing. From my perspective, because the last $3 million comes out of our general fund, any restaurants can apply. Whereas for the first 7 million, it's only the restaurants that have already applied. So as long as your resolution says that, I'm okay with it. But I've had the language, I found the language difficult to interpret. But if that's your understanding, I can support it.
Yeah.
Commissioner, go ahead, Commissioner Cook.
Yeah, and thank you. I mean, again, what was in the original language would have required that phase 2 and phase 3 applications only be done by those who had previously applied. So I tried to do this in a simple way so that the requirement that they submit under Oakland County's previously sponsored grant programs only applies to the 7 million CARES funding, not to the 3 million county funding.
Thank you, Commissioner Kern. I think the administration was very clear at the 7 million. The reason why the 7 million, why we don't have time to start an application process between now and the end of the year. So all restaurants with indoor dining that's been shut down as a result of this is to be able to push out financial relief as quickly as possible with available dollars that are there so that they can operate and we can hit our 12/30/2020 deadline for using those funds. But the administration was very clear that other restaurants could apply because we are using general fund dollars to support the weatherization as well as the Safely Reopen $1 million as part of this fund. The concern I have about this amendment is that some of the grants that we sponsor, remember we did a partnership with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation where I think we used some general fund dollars and matched with state funds, and so the Restart program and other things that might not be CARES funded I don't want to unnecessarily hamstring. I mean, when we talked about in committee, I think we were all under the very same understanding that the 7 million financial relief goes to those who already had applied, whereas the 3 million is open up to those who may or may not have applied going forward. So I don't know if this amendment is necessary, because that is the intent, and the administration has affirmed such. So I know that some commissioners have asked for clarity on that, and they have affirmed such a thing. So I don't know if this amendment is necessary to achieve that. Anybody, any other questions, comments on the amendment? Commissioner Hoffman.
I just want to say this amendment will not hurt anything. It'll just clarify what we're doing. I support it, and I commend Sean Carlson and the administration for how fast they reacted a couple weeks ago when the restaurants got shut down again. I really appreciate that, and I know a lot of restaurateurs appreciate it.
Commissioner Kuhn.
Yes, and thank you, Mr. Chair, for your patience on this. I did forward this to Sean earlier today, and he had no objection to it. So, I mean, again, everyone understands what we're doing here. 3 million is not going to be limited. I just want to make sure that our authorizing language makes that. Thank you.
Commissioner Zach.
I just want to be straight on this amendment. We're still doing 7 million that's open to those that have only received money to begin with, and the 3 million is open to anybody, correct? Okay, just wanted to make sure, because I agree with Commissioner Gershenson. It's a little bit confusing in the way it's written.
Right. So there are, I mean, I think this is, with this, I apologize, I didn't catch up, Commissioner Zach. By inserting CARES funding only, some of our sponsored grant programs that restaurants got during this pandemic might not have been, might have been some general fund dollars, or might have been state of Michigan dollars, and all of those would become or are eligible for the 7 million. I don't want to unnecessarily cut out people that received, for instance, a Restart grant that might not have been funded by CARES. I'm not 100% certain what the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, how they use their dollars. They might have used some CARES, they might have used some general. I mean, if they didn't use CARES based on the way that this is written, that wouldn't count as a grant for to be eligible for the Restart grants, as I read it, because we say specifically CARES. I mean, maybe we want to consider like grants from Oakland County previously sponsored grant programs for the pandemic or something. That would be at least a little more broad. But if it's just CARES stuff, we had our set, the CARES money that we've been using, but we also use general fund dollars that matched with other funds that provided stabilization grants early when the pandemic was really taking off in the beginning. So that would be my only concern, is that this might have an unintended consequence of eliminating some people if they got a Restart grant, if those Restart grants in fact were not paid with CARES money. I don't think that's anyone's intent. I mean, I think to Commissioner Coons, I don't think that's what his intention is. I think he's just trying to make sure that the 7 million is CARES funded. I mean, previously awarded 7 million go to there. The other grants are eligible to those who received or didn't. And I wonder if there's maybe a way to write an amendment to say that the weatherization and the reopen safely grants are eligible to all restaurants instead of this language. Commissioner Cook, I know you're.
You know, I know it's late. Let's put it this way. Why don't we just go with this? We can always change it next year if the administration has a problem. I mean, I was just concerned that this would unnecessarily restrict the administration into saying that the 3 million has to be used only to those who are previously sponsored grant, applied in previously sponsored grant programs. I'll withdraw the motion. And, you know, the bottom line is we all know what we want. It's just a question of whether the language allows what we want. And I don't really care what this language says.
Commissioner
I'm
Kuhn,
willing to
withdraw.
withdraw.
Commissioner Wiper?
Withdraw my support.
Perfect, okay. That brings us back to the main motion, the approval of the reallocation of Corona's relief funds to create Oakland County Together Restaurant Rescue Program, something that we all believe in and know is very vitally important to our upwards of 1,000 restaurants across Oakland County. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioners Woodward,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
Angel,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Jackson, Jackson,
Mr. Jackson.
Yes.
Ogendorfer,
Yes.
Owal,
Yes.
Kuhn,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Lubes, Lubes,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
McGilvery,
Yes.
Middleton,
Yes.
Miller, Miller, you're muted. Miller, you're muted. Yes, okay, thumbs up from Miller.
Indicate the yes vote.
Nelson,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
is that a yes? That was a yes, yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Corals,
Yes.
Fizz,
Yes.
Cobb,
Yep.
Wiper.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 21 yeas, 0 nays.
Excellent. Significant number voted in the affirmative. The resolution is adopted. Commissioner Gershenson.
Miscellaneous Resolution 20624, Board of Commissioners, authorize funding for the Oakland County Board of Canvassers from the Oakland Together Local Government Partnership Grant. I move this motion.
So we move to receive the report on the committee, moved by Gershenson, seconded by Gingell. All in favor of receiving the report, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. The record reflected the report's received unanimously. And then it's moved by Gershenson, seconded by Gingell to adopt. Any discussion? Commissioner Markham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've had some discussions, and I think some of the other folks have too, about the fact that these canvassers are working right alongside county employees who are not getting hazard pay for this job. And I don't think that we should be providing something to these part-time employees that our regular employees are not going to get. So I will not be supporting this resolution.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Zach,
Yes.
Gershenson,
No.
Gingell,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Ogendorfer,
Yes.
Kowal,
Yes.
Kuhn,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Lubes,
No.
Markham,
No.
McGilvery,
No.
Middleton,
Yes.
Miller,
Pass.
Nelson,
No.
Powell,
No.
Quarles,
Yes.
Biz,
Yes.
Taub,
Yes.
Wypert,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 15 yeas, 6 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the resolution is adopted. Brings us to, I think, Commissioner Gershon, does that conclude pandemic response and economic recovery?
Yes, it does.
Excellent. All right, moves us to reports of special committees. There is none. Next item is special order of business. There are 3. Is there anyone going to take any action? Seeing no one taking action, we're moving on. Moves us to unfinished business. There is none. New and miscellaneous resolutions. We have 2 resolutions and several CBT CARES disbursements. So let's start with the first one. Board of Commissioners support to prioritize Michigan teachers to receive the COVID vaccine. But I think it's been expanded to, and emergency medical service workers to receive. Moved by, if there's a sponsor, moved by Commissioner Kuhn. Commissioner Kuhn, are you there? Oh, there you are. Screens are moving around again. Okay. And seconded by Commissioner Nelson. How about you? Seconded by Commissioner Kokendorfer, who's also a co-sponsor. Commissioner Kuhn, seconded by Commissioner Kokendorfer, moves to suspend the rules to take up this item immediately. All in favor of taking up this item immediately, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Let the record reflect that we are suspending the rules to take the item up immediately. Passes unanimously. Now moved by Commissioner Kuhn, seconded by Commissioner Kokendorfer. Any discussion on the resolution? Commissioner Kokendorfer.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, thank you. I know it's late. I'll be brief. I think everyone has an interest, teachers, parents, students, in a safe return to full-time instruction in schools. And that's what this is aimed toward. That's what the purpose is. It's to prioritize the vaccination of teachers and to also include EMS workers as well. Commissioner Kuhn has done a lot of the spade work during this. He consulted with our health division, who had some helpful comments about including EMS workers, and we believe it's timely and in everyone's interest.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Markham had her hand up.
Thank you. I think Commissioner Kokendorfer answered my question, which was, has this been coordinated with the health department? Because they're really responsible for setting the priorities for who gets the vaccine first. And as long as they're on board with this, I am too.
Understood, Commissioner Markham. And yes, they were on board with the inclusion of the EMS workers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gershenson, and followed by Commissioner Miller.
Yeah, and I wanted to commend Commissioner Kuhn and Kokendorfer, because when I saw this, I had suggested calling the health department. They did. And the health department, like they said, made a few changes, a few adjustments, but they are in support of it. So thank you for that.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes, I want to say appreciation for Commissioner Kopendorfer, and Commissioner Kuhn for reaching out in bipartisanship and asking questions and just seeing the insight of where people are at. So I appreciate that. That's true commissionership and showing like they want everybody's input. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Miller. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the resolution.
On the resolution, Commissioners Gershenson,
Yes.
Gingell,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Okendorfer,
Yes.
Kowal,
Yes.
Kuhn,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Loops,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
McGilvray,
Yes.
Middleton,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Biz,
Yes.
Cobb,
Yes.
Whitebird,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Zach.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 21 yeas, 0 nays.
Sufficient number voting affirmative, the resolution is adopted. I think they can pass. I mean, I think this is something we all agree with and want to make certain that we get the vaccine to as many people and everyone who needs it. Commissioner Kuhn, entertain a motion to allow all commissioners who voted in the affirmative to be co-sponsors, seconded by Commissioner Kokendorfer. Is that okay? Where did Commissioner Kuhn go? How about Commissioner Kokendorfer? Is it make a motion to allow all commissioners who voted in the affirmative to be co-sponsored, seconded by
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Jackson? Okay. Good. All in favor of adding all members who voted in the affirmative as co-sponsors, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Let the record reflect that amendment passes unanimously. Okay, that moves us to the next one. And I'll recognize Commissioner Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to introduce and request suspension of the rules for miscellaneous resolution urging West Bloomfield School District to allow more public input regarding the possible decision to close Roosevelt Elementary School in Keego Harbor.
So Commissioner Nelson moves to suspend the rules. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Taub. All in favor of suspending the rules, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Okay, let's call the roll on suspension of the rules.
On suspension of the rules, Commissioners Gingell,
No.
Hoffman,
No.
Jackson,
Yes.
Okendorfer,
No.
Kowal,
No.
Kuhn,
No.
Long,
No.
Loops,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
McGilvray,
Yes.
Middleton,
No.
Miller,
Pass.
Nelson,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Biz,
No.
Chop,
Yes.
Whitebird,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 13 yeas, 8 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative. The rules are suspended. Take it up now. Commissioner Nelson moves, seconded by Commissioner Taub to take up the resolution. Commissioner Nelson, you want to speak to the resolution?
Thank you. Sure, thank you. As we all know, is that feedback? Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. As we all know, when we come across a big decision making, it's really important that we make sure that we are bringing in opportunities for the public to not only provide their input, but also be a part of the process. And things in the West Bloomfield School District have expedited very quickly in regards to school closures of looking at one out of 5 of their elementary schools. And, you know, over the course of the past couple days, I've received a plethora of constituent concerns in regards to slowing the process down and giving families the opportunity to be a part of this process, teachers be a part of this process. And aside from Roosevelt having a pretty big historical representation in Keagle Harbor, it's really crucial that we do make sure that we do provide opportunities for all stakeholders to be a part of such a big decision. So I'm thankful for my colleagues who supported this tonight. And as we all know, elementary schools are hearts of our community, and this is no different here in Roosevelt and Keagle Harbor. So I appreciate the support tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner Nelson. Commissioner Taub had her hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Normally, I keep my nose out of school business. I'm never asked usually. I don't go to the pickets and the what have you. But I think it is crucial. I'm going to take a step further than Commissioner Nelson did. It is crucial that this school remain open. And I will tell you why. Because Keagle Harbor is a small community. And this is the heartbeat of the entire community. You close Roosevelt School and you are giving the death knell to the three little communities that border it. Keagle Harbor, obviously, Sylvan Lake, although only 2 streets in Sylvan Lake go to school at Roosevelt. The children there belong to Girl Scouts and Brownies and Little League and soccer and all the things that schools do in that community. If you close another West Bloomfield school, nobody will know. Won't affect the community. The kids will have to move a little further. They'll have to go to a different school, but it will not shut down an entire city. I think it's dreadful, just the mere thought of shutting down Roosevelt. And the fact that the school board didn't even do the improvements that the residents voted for, that I find it very difficult to understand. You will completely eliminate that portion of Keagle Harbor, of little portions of Waterford, and in Orchard Lake and other places. They'll be gone. And if that's our goal, to eliminate small communities, shame on all of us. So that is why I'm supporting this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Taub. Commissioner Miller, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah, coming from living in a community where we've had to close a major school because of financial burden. Harrison High School, as everybody knows, right? One of the best football teams this side of Wisconsin, I'll say.
Not one of, they are the best.
I thought you were going to say Telegraph.
There you go. So I do want to know, what is the fund balance that the school has, and what is the cost to keep it open? Because I think this goes again with being good stewards. Like we're wanting the school to stay open is what we're saying here if we vote for this. And if it's going to be a direct impact where the school goes into a negative, that's something that we have to consider, right? I mean, like I said, there was a hard decision in Farmington Hills School District to close Harrison. That was huge, right? That was like major. So I went through it all because I was actually on the PTA when that happened. So that was definitely a huge thing, right? And it's a hard decision to make. So I don't know, like, what type of authority we have to make them stay open, right? I mean, that's why I'm saying this is just one of those, we're just asking them to, it's non-binding, but so that's why I'm trying to figure that out. Because I don't want to cost them any more money than they already are indebted, because that's why they're closing. I don't think they're closing just to close, right?
I mean, I let the sponsors, the maker of the motion second to speak to it, but I think this resolution speaks to allowing more public input on the decision to close, not so much weighing in on the decision itself. But Commissioner Nelson and then Commissioner Taub.
You nailed it, Chairman Woodward. This isn't about closing or not closing. It's simply just allowing the public an opportunity to participate in this process. As it stands presently, there's been very limited opportunity for outside stakeholders, families, teachers, students to be a part of giving input and be a participant of this process. So it's not about whether or not we believe in closing or not closing. It's just making sure that it's a transparent process and making sure that all those who are interested have an opportunity and platform to be a part of the decision.
Commissioner Top. And then
Mr. Chair, if I may, to Commissioner Miller, they have to close a school. There are other choices they could pick. Okay, so the Roosevelt School will not have any burden. They have to close a school. And there's none as unique as Roosevelt. Okay, that's the answer. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Top. Commissioner Hoffman, and then Commissioner Miller for a second time.
I guess with all due respect, we have no authority at all over the decision of that school board, and I appreciate Commissioner Nelson's thoughts about more opportunity for people to get involved, but you know that the people that go to that school, that surround that school, they're going to be involved, and they're going to go to the board meetings, and they're going to hear the rationale for closing it or not closing it. But this is almost pointless in what we're suggesting. It's like getting involved in a nurses union contract at a hospital. Same type of thing. We just have no authority or no business doing that.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoffman. Commissioner Gingell for a first time, then Commissioner Miller for a second time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to repeat, in regards to the schools, the school boards, we have zero authority. They have their own tax millage. It doesn't come through the Board of Commissioners. They are their own duly elected bodies. And I get Commissioner Nelson, Commissioner Tobb's point, and I appreciate it. I think maybe as a commissioner that lives in the school district, or commissioners that live in the school district as individuals, absolutely step up, write a letter, use your commissioner status as a resident. But I think having the Board of Commissioners of Oakland County take a stance, because even though it's a non-binding resolution, resolutions are how this board collectively speaks. And what we're doing is saying that we want to speak to this particular school board to tell them that we think they should do their job differently. And I just think I'm not sure that's where we want to set a precedent.
Thank you, Commissioner. Gingell, Commissioner Miller for a second time.
I understand, Commissioner Todd, that it's a hard decision. Trust me, I was in many meetings where people that graduated from Harrison High School that couldn't fit in their varsity jacket still fit in their varsity jacket when we're, speaking about, their old days, right? I mean, I lived through all that. And, you see somebody
right now.
You can picture it all, because it's just like you see it in the movies. It's the same thing,
I'm
right?
picturing that, and so is Mike Gingell. I'm thinking exactly. I could just picture that.
Right. So it's just
okay,
like,
everyone, we're in recess. Go get your varsity jackets.
No, but so what is the cost? My concern is the cost, right? Because I was the president of my daughter's, Warner Upper Elementary School PTA when all this was going on, and they had to make a decision by a certain time, right, to save money. So like Commissioner Top said, they have to close the school. So by doing this, and if we put pressure on them and they all right, well, the county's involved, so we're going to do this. Will it cost them any more money? When is the date that they have to close the school? And then how long are we asking for?
Commissioner Tao for a second time. And then
With all due respect to my county commissioners who don't want to step foot in it, and it isn't our purview, I hear you. But guess what? It wasn't our purview to put water fountains in, but we did. It wasn't our purview to provide breakfasts for kids, but we did. And just now, I heard somebody read a letter, one of our staff people, I've forgotten who, that the very chairman of the West Bloomfield School Board wrote us a letter asking us to continue to fund the school nurses. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Commissioner Top. Commissioner Nelson, oh, wait a minute. Commissioner Powell for a first time, then Commissioner Nelson.
I just want to say I am going to support this. And the reason is because I get it. We're not involved as in school matters. But at the end of the day, all she's asking is that they take up the opportunity to listen to all of them. It's more of a support resolution. Why are we getting all into the technicalities? For what? It's not that serious, in my opinion. When all we're doing is encouraging people and encouraging the board to listen to these people. That's really it. It's nothing else. I think we just, it's late, and I think we being real extra with this resolution.
Commissioner Nelson, final wrap it up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say that transparency and accountability is something that we should all be standing behind. And at the end of the day, this is something that is important to one of our communities here in Oakland County, and it should be important to us on the Board of Commissioners. So I hear the concerns that have been raised. And at the end of the day, I am very appreciative and thankful for the commissioners and my colleagues who supported this. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Nelson. And Commissioner William, Commissioner Miller, I thought I saw your hand up. Anything else to add, or we're ready for a vote?
I just wanted to say that, we're not talking about water fountains or breakfast or nurses. That's all protection of the kids, right? We're talking about making sure that a school district can thrive. So they got to make a decision. It's a hard decision. I've lived through it. And like Commissioner Gingell said, I believe, was people are going to show up and show their protest. It's going to happen, right? So, I don't know if, Todd, you want to get your varsity jacket, out? I'm just kidding. I was just throwing it in there. But no, I just want to know for money wise, right? Because I don't want to be the county that the reason why a school district goes farther in debt. That's why I'm asking these questions. It's not being extra. I went through all this. I lived it, right? So it's like I was there. That's why I want to make sure that we do this right.
Thank you.
It probably wouldn't fit on me, but I can get out my swim sweater.
All right, let's just like that. I think it's time to vote.
Yeah,
Madam Clerk,
please.
All right, Commissioner Powell. Oh, we were voting. Okay, yes, we were voting, right?
Yes,
we're voting.
that's all I wanted to
Please
do.
call the roll.
Okay, on the resolution, can I go?
Yes.
On the resolution, Commissioners Hoffman,
No.
Jackson,
Yes.
Kokendorfer,
No.
Cowell,
No.
Kuhn,
Yes.
Long,
No.
Lubes, you're muted. Oh, there you go.
Thank you.
Sorry, you're unmuted now. I didn't hear your answer.
Yes.
Thank you. Markham,
Yes.
McGilvery,
Yes.
Middleton,
No.
Miller,
Pass.
Nelson,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Fizz,
No.
Todd,
Yes.
Wypert,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
Gingell,
No.
Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 14 yeas, 7 nays.
Sufficient number voted in the affirmative. The resolution is adopted. Okay, that moves us on to, I think, like the last votes that we got here. Okay, we have several CVT Care Act disbursements that the committee had gone through. Staff's been, racing to get it done so we could, vote to approve them. Chief Ward, can you explain where they all are and how
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. They were all emailed, and we had a very large number come through towards the end, and rather than updating the packet, Joanne emailed them directly to all of you. There is one resolution that includes any community or school or local government that had already had an interlocal agreement, and then there are 23 separate resolutions that are for those schools, local governments, libraries, community centers, etc., that did not already have an interlocal agreement. So that's all in a email that Joanne sent out to you. I don't know if you would be willing to suspend the rules for all of them at once and accept them, or.
So, I guess the first question, I want to make sure everyone got it. It was an email from Joanne. It's part of our standard course of business. These were, as Chief Ward said, if a community already had an interlocal agreement that we'd entered into and we were adding more money to it, all of those were put into one resolution. And then if they hadn't had one for whether it's like the library, the senior center, or other types of things, they were separate. So Commissioner Gingell.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'm not sure if I'm picking up what you're putting down, but can we move the one resolution and include all municipalities included in the last email list received from Joanne?
I believe we can take one motion to suspend the rules, to take up all of those all at once. So moved by Commissioner Gingell, seconded by Commissioner Spiz. Move to suspend the rules, to take up all those ones that came in that email, and just, and I believe the clerk has that email as well. Right, Clerk Brown? I just want to make sure we're all talking about the same thing that we're all about to vote for.
I received a few emails of these. I don't know if there was a final one that had all of them because during the meeting, but there may have been. I know that first I got 2 and then there was going to be more and that sort of thing.
We'll square up with the clerk's office, Mr. Chair.
You'll square it up with that. Yep. So this is,
Just taking that one.
yeah, but the first one, say approval of eligible returning reimbursement applicants for disbursement of funds from the Oakland County Together Government Partnership Grant Program. That's the one big one. And then there's a PDF of everything. We'll make sure it's part of the message that deals with all the local community ones. And it's about 20 some of those, all based on commissioner district. So there's a motion by Commissioner Gingell, seconded by Commissioner Spiz, to suspend the rules to take all these items up immediately. All in favor of suspending the rules, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Let the record reflect that we're the motion to suspend the rules to take up all the CVT CARES Act disbursements passed unanimously. Commissioner Gingell moves the adoption of all of those, seconded by Commissioner Spiz. Commissioner Middleton, I think I saw your hand up. Is there a question about?
No, just clarification. It would be the email sent by Joanne at 4:52 p.m. today, and that would be, it can't be disputed then.
Perfect. 4:52.
Yes.
Whether yes, it's 4:52, and then if you look at all the attachments, there's a 4:52 one. There's a 4:35. It's part. If you look at if you click on the email, they're both there. She sent both of them. There's 2 PDF documents, and then there's 1 Word document. But yes, all of them are captured in the 3 files that are attached there.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Yep. So let the record reflect that we're referring to the email sent by Joanne Stringfellow at 4:52 p.m. and the email at 4:35 p.m. today. And that's, and I know the oversight committee worked really hard to try to get these through, and staff worked very hard to get them ready so that we could approve them tonight. Any discussion on approving all of those? Seeing no discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Okay. Commissioners Jackson,
Yes.
Kokendorfer,
Yes.
thumbs up. Okay.
All right,
thank you.
yeah, sorry, I was looking for the unmute.
That's okay. Trying to get through. Kowal,
Yes.
Kuhn,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Boobs,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
McGilvery,
Yes.
Middleton,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Powell,
Mr. Powell?
Quarles, sorry,
Yes.
Powell. Quarles said yes. Spiz,
Yes.
Chaub,
Yes.
Wipert,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Kirshenson,
Yes.
Gingell,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Howell, are you here? Okay. Mr. Chair, you have 20 yeas, 0 nays.
Sufficient number voting the affirmative, those resolutions are adopted, and we can sign those contracts and get the money to the local communities. We got one more piece of business that we gotta just take care of. They'll appoint the members that will sit on the coronavirus relief funds coordinating oversight committee. And for the majority, I need a motion to move myself, Gershenson and Powell in the minority, and Helene Zach as alternate, Spiz, Cole for the minority, and Commissioner Wiper as the alternate. I get a motion to that effect. Moved by Wiper, seconded by Spiz. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That group can get to work, assuming that Congress doesn't take action and extend the deadline for. Okay, I think that it concludes any other business. I mean, any other new business? I don't believe there is any. So I'll move us to announce what? Oh, I'll move us to announcements. Commissioner Kowal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to let the other commissioners know, the ones that aren't on finance, that the Water Resources Commissioner gave their report on the water control structures in Oakland County today. You can find it at the Water Resources Commissioner's website, and I ask that copies be sent to all the commissioners and CVTs. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Kowal. Thank you for your work on that. Any other announcements? I'll just say that, again, congratulations to Commissioners Tao, Zach, Middleton, and Quarles for the service. I mean, we ended on a bang and completed a lot of things. And like I said, we said before that we stand on your shoulders and all your dedication to make this board and make this county the great place that it is. And we look forward to working with you, and we wish you the best. And then want to extend a happy holiday season to everyone. We look forward, everyone please be safe, and we look forward to seeing everyone soon. So without any other further announcements, we stand adjourned at call of the chair. Hopefully we won't be coming.
I have one thing.
See, I knew that was going to happen. I should have just adjourned.
Well,
right.
well,
Yes,
before
Commissioner Locke.
Lisa Brown goes, because she has to drive home, so be careful and stay warm. I feel bad for you because at least we're in our homes. But also, we have to get sworn in, right? We have to make an appointment to the Elections Division. Did we all got that? No. So I think we have to do it before January 1st. Do we, Lisa?
Yeah, that would be ideal.
Okay.
Come in and yeah, you can make an appointment and sign the oath book and all that.
Okay, I just wanted to remind everyone because I got that note, and it's something that you could forget over the holiday season. So
Absolutely.
hopefully I don't forget now that I mentioned it.
That's a great point. Yes.
Are you saying that would be ideal, meaning it's not mandatory to do it before?
Before January 1st, I was saying, no, you have to come in and do it. I was saying ideally before January 1st, because that's when your term starts, though. And we, you know, we have done it during the ceremony or whatever, the first meeting where you've signed, some people have signed the book before, but ideally you would do it before that. But
Ideally before, right. Commissioner Nelson and Commissioner
Just to clarify, we do need to have everybody sworn in before the first for payroll purposes.
Yes. That's why it's ideal, if you want to get paid.
Chairman Woodward, I was just gonna let you know, Angela's already popping on. We thought she had to pipe in on another device, but she wanted to say something.
So I just wanted to say I was a yes vote. That last round, it clicked me off.
We've already taken the votes, but if anyone watches the video, Commissioner Powell was a yes vote. It passed unanimously, though. Don't worry.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. With that, we stand adjourned, or I call the chair.